Okay, I thought I'd make you the tail end of a project here I just started. I got this military style jacket for 10 bucks at a flea market, and it's a beautiful jacket. I love it. But one problem, and that is the hood is not very warm. So I went out and I got me some supplies. It was only about $3 for the material here and the sewing needle and the thread. By the way, I've never sewn anything in my entire life, but I decided I would try to. Hear the dogs in the background playing on the couch. Try my hand at sewing. I guess some people might say, well, just wear a toboggan, but I'm lazy. Doesn't look like it does, I guess, because I'm sewing, but I don't like to have to throw on anything, and my back's out right now, so I can't sit down, so I have two choices. I have to stand up or lay down, so I've decided to stand up and work on my sewing. As you may have guessed from other videos, I am a small-time prepper, and I certainly by no means consider myself a professional at it. I've probably only got enough supplies to last me about 3 months, food and water. Got a lot of other supplies and whatnot, but I wouldn't exactly call me an extreme prepper by any means. But I thought while I was doing this I'd kind of talk about the prepper mentality. You know, I think a lot of people think that, you know, get the idea that preppers are crazy or whatever, but I mean, in reality, I'd say in the next 4 to 5 years, if a miracle doesn't happen financially, America is going to go through some sort of a financial collapse of some sort. You can't owe $17 trillion and then all of a sudden everything's fine when you don't make anywhere near that. So I think it's wise to at least prep, and hey, if nothing happens, nothing happens. But you know, I don't think as preppers we should condemn those that aren't prepping, or we should condemn those that are more extreme about it than myself. Hey, whatever you want to do is fine, and you know, you're just going to have to accept the consequences if something does happen that, yeah, I didn't prepare for it. So, and I'm having fun doing it. I've learned how to sew. But I've learned a few skills becoming a prepper, and I'd like to learn more. I wish I'd paid attention to my grandfather, who was the jack of all tricks, literally. Knew every wildflower and tree in the forest, every knot you could tie. He was an expert. But I, like all kids, would rather have played basketball and hid from him when he was trying to get us to do some work around the farm, so I didn't quite learn all of his skills. But alright, well, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about the prepper mentality and show off my sewing job here. I'll show you the finished product here in a little bit. But sewing is actually not that difficult. It's not rocket science. I always figured it would be literally impossible. I mean, for me to learn, I know nothing about sewing or crocheting or anything like that. My grandmother was an expert sewer. She would try to get me to help with some quilts and whatnot. And I mean, I've had a needle and thread in my hands, but You know, she got everything ready. She kind of showed me, and I maybe spent an hour with her doing it. I love my grandmother, but I didn't really love sewing. But wish I'd paid more attention now. It's not rocket science, but and it's not, obviously these stitches aren't perfect by any means, but it's getting the job done. And it was something that I can say I made. I'm just about finished here. Coming to the corner. I'm just wondering how this is going to work out for me. I may need to re-stitch this. I don't know anything about anything really, but I super glued this. So basically I did that just so I could continue sewing across the back here. I may have to put some stitches in here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I really kind of just winging this. I didn't look up on YouTube how to sew or anything. If I'd been doing a real serious project, I probably would have, but I'm just playing here. And we're getting to the end here. I'd say this whole job has taken me about an hour, I would estimate, to sew this in here, which is pretty sad for a job like this. I'm sure some of you are out there that know something about sewing. You're probably laughing at how long it's even taken me to run these through here, but I'm just having fun with it. And I thought I'd start the video camera while it was going and talk a little bit about the mentality of prepping. And my stance on things. I am a Christian, so I do believe that God has a plan for us, but I do realize also that once Adam and Eve decided to disobey God, and they infected the entire population with the sin virus. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but I mean, in reality, we're all affected. I mean, I know I'm a liar. I tell lies, and I'll probably end up telling one today if I'm not careful. You can't find one single person in this entire world that doesn't lie. And it's in their nature to lie, to steal, to manipulate, to cheat. We can all act like it's not, but in reality it is. I mean, I'm not saying some people are better at covering than others, but you look at any child, you can raise them in a lab, you can be perfect to them, you can never tell them a lie, you can just shower them with love, and they'll still want to lie and steal, and every chance they get, manipulate to benefit themselves. That's just their human nature. So I don't hold it against the rest of the humans. I don't know. They don't hold it against me. I mean, hey, it's everybody has their own little. Sound like I'm on a soapbox here, but everybody has their own little sins or weaknesses that are more vulnerable to others. I mean, a lot of Christians will look and say, "Well, I don't drink and I don't cuss, so you know that's like the big two things." Well, yeah, I mean that's good. You don't drink, you don't cuss, but in reality, you know, that's not above anything else. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. It's in my human nature to steal. I'm sorry. You put something in front of me, and it's my first instinct to look at that and say, I'd like to have that. I mean, that's just me. Whether you're willing to admit that, that's up to you. I'm not saying I'm a big-time thief. I don't steal a lot of things. But I will admit on occasion, see, it's in our nature not to want to admit that kind of stuff, though. You know, you just don't want to come out and say that. But kind of, anyways, I do believe that God has a plan for us, even as sin-infected people. I mean, He cared enough, if you believe what the Bible says, to send His very own Son to die on a cross for those sins, as a cure for that sin virus. And whether we believe it or not, it happened. 12 people died for what they knew happened. That's 12 disciples died martyr's death. And you can say, well, there's all kinds of people that are willing to die for their faith. Yeah, that's true. But how many people would die for what they knew to be a lie? Now think about that. The disciples were diehard on the fact that Jesus rose from the dead. So if you'd actually seen somebody rise from the dead, you'd probably be a little more willing to die yourself, because you knew that someone had beaten death. And the disciples went through, some of them were crucified, some were clubbed to death, some were, hanged. So there's just, the list goes on. I mean, Judas felt so bad about it, he takes his own life. And I'm sure a lot of people have differing views on Judas and whether he was, whether he repented or whether he, there's all kinds of, we won't get into that. But I mean, he was so devastated he took his own life. The rest of the disciples, all except John, die martyr's death. John has life in prison. He writes the book of Revelation. So, I mean, I kind of believe that, these people would probably not go to that extent. If I was one of the 12 and 6 people had already been killed, crucified, and tortured, and they came to me and he's like, hey, we're gonna kill you unless you admit this is all a lie. I'd be like, hey, we were just lying. I mean, one guy would surely give in to that. I mean, as diehard as they may have been, it's just foolish to die for something you know is a lie. So that's what's impressive to me about their deaths. So, boy, we've really got into a whole different subject here than prepping, but I guess that's what happens when you start sewing. Alright, well, let's see here. Get to the end, you really don't know what to do. Okay, let's put a few stitches in this. I don't know if I trust my super gluing. Again, I know nothing about sewing. Don't ever, this is not an instructional. This is not a tutorial by any means. This is something I made for fun. Probably very few people have even made it to this point, I can imagine. Okay, here is the final product. As you can see, it's certainly not the best stitch job. It's a rough looking thing, but hey, I did it myself. So, do a little shot of what it looks like from back here. You can see I used a little punching bag to do this on. Okay, let's try this baby on and see what it feels like. This jacket's absolutely huge for me, by the way. I got it for $10, so it's all good. I already feel a little bit of heaviness back there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this or not. We'll see. Oh boy, yes, much warmer. You can definitely feel the difference. Yeah, that concludes this video. It wasn't very professionally made, and you probably didn't learn anything from it. It wasn't a normal tutorial teaching how to do things or a product review, really. It was just more of my mentality of prepping and Christianity and whatnot, but just thought I'd kind of let you get to know me, and as well as you can see, it's time to go.